Okay, so we're going to look at building a new rating this time in Tideda. So if we go back and start Tideda, again we'll select a file which is in our working directory, and I've created one called demo gaugings raw. So this file has stage record and it also has raw gaugings for the site, so no rating yet. So the first thing we want to do is have a look at these gaugings. So if we go down and select, in this case we want to select the gauging data, and we'll just go all we've got on file. Now we can list these if we want to have a look at them. 15 items. We'll see the gauging items here: stage, flow, area, etc., etc., and when they're gauged. And we can also graph those gaugings, so we can look at them as they stand. In this case we want to have error bars of 8% again. If we use our min-max options, it'll just plot the graph to the full size of the gaugings we have, from the max to the lowest stage gauging here. Probably a better way to look at it is to then just extend the range. So if we take away the auto min and say go down to 0 and the max of say 4,000 or 4 meters, make the auto min, let's go down to 0 flow, and we'll just have a guess of maybe a couple of hundred cubics, 200,000 litres there. So here we can see the range or spread of gaugings we have so far, from our lowest through to our highest. And one way of generating this rating is to draw, well, obviously we want to draw a curve best we can through these, so we have a line of best fit. So one way to do it is we can print out this page here in A4 or preferably A3, or we can draw these points on, say, an A1 graph paper. So we've got a larger scale and then draw a line on the graph paper. Here's an example of a scanned graph paper. It hasn't come out very well, but you can see how we've used standard graph paper here, and we've drawn all our gaugings, more than what we've seen on Tideda. And in this case there's two ratings because it's been a change over time here. But at this point we can actually scale off quite easily off our rating curve to get our stage versus flow. So that's one way of doing it, or if you can't do that, we can print it out. So what I normally do is just print out this here in an A3 copy, and then on the paper I would just draw using a flexible rating curve or plastic ruler with different curve options. We can draw a line through the best fit through our gaugings, and we also want to cover the maximum height that's been recorded and the minimum height, so that we cover the full range. So the stage extremes for this site, the min and max, are, if we go back to Tideda, and then if we go and select this time the stage and look at all the record here, and under table there's a thing called quick extremes. If we look at that, this will calculate that the minimum over our time is 571 millimeters, and our maximum stage is 3.6 meters. So again, back to our graph, I've drawn on, I want to cover our 3.6 maximum stage. So if we go up to 3.8, and if we go down to 500, which is below our 571 minimum stage recorded, will therefore cover the full range of stages which is so far experienced at the site. So at this point we can then pick off points such as 500 and scale them. You can scale them off the scale on the bottom here just using a ruler, and which I've done here. So at 500 we've got 12,000 litres, 12 cubics, and at 3.8 meters we've got roughly 162,000. This point up here we're not sure, of course, whether the curve comes over flatter or whether it goes up steeper. This is a case where we need to target flood gaugings or use methods such as a slope area to obtain this top end and which way the curve goes. Bottom end's easy to target, of course, with low flows, easier to gauge, so you can just target that when conditions are right. So at this point we want to pick off points such as this one, and in this case I'm going to go through the highest gauging because it's the highest known point we have yet, the center of this group of gaugings here. So it's going to give us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe one in the middle here too, 6, 7 points. So if we go to our listing, if we list out our gaugings, we can see here this is just a straight list in Tideda like I did before, and I've just listed only in this case the stage and flow. So for this list here, this is, as I said, we're going to go through these piers. There's a pier there, so there's 2 gaugings done at the same time, same day, same stage, same stage, same stage. So if we go, and then I've averaged the flow here, so I've gone to 2.5 meters in this case, it's only 5 millimeters different, and I've gone to, it averaged out at 82 cubics, and then the same here for 1.82 meters, we've got about 53.5 cubics, and I've rounded this up to 1100 and averaged out at 28450, and there's our highest gauging there, which we're going to go through that point. As well as that, I've scaled off those other points at 500, 12,000, 3,300, 130,000 and 3,800 at a top end at 162,000. So these points here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we can enter into Tideda now as our initial first rating for this site. So we just close those. Now if we go back to Tideda, working again on our file, making sure our output file is the same as our input file. And if we, the other thing we also need, if we go back to our data, is we need to make a date and time for this first rating. Now usually it's at the time the site started. So in this case here we're going to use the data started recording at this point, so our rating is going to also be at that point. So we need to note this date, which is the 18th of October 94 at 1500. That's when the site started recording. That's going to be the date and time of our first rating. And to enter a rating into Tideda, we just go to Entry, Keyboard Entry. In this case we don't want to add series data, we want to add ratings. This is a destination site number we want to use, and again it writes it to a list file, just a temporary text file, which again I always use this list.ed file. So we OK that. Now it's coming up and it's asking us enter the start date. So as we put before, it was 1994. So click on there, 1994, 10, 18. Enter that. Start time 1500. Now it always asks again for the effective date. Now we don't want to smooth this rating over a flood period, which is just initial start date, so we're going to use the same start date, start time. So now it's asking us to enter in the unrated, which is the stage, and the rated flow. These are our points for the rating. So our first one was 500, and that was 12,000. Second one is 1100, 28, 440, 1820, and 53, 460, 53, 460. 2495, we went to 2500 there. 82, 300. And our high gauging, which was 2740, stage of 93,900. Our second top reading, which we scaled off, 33.3 meters and 130,000 litres, and our top point 3.8 meters, 162. When we entered that, we hit the, as it says at the top, press the end key. That therefore writes it to our list file. So if we go back to here, list Tideda, fully specified. There's our list file there. We're writing it to the right file. We can then edit that here like we had before. You see the points we entered in there. And we're going to go OK. This now writes it to our back into our main file that we've been working on. So if we now go into data, select data, this time we'll have a rating option here. So there's our rating we've entered, and if we choose the gaugings through to our last gauging and replot that, graph ratings, again we'll leave those scales we chose. Actually, let's go to 4,000, so we're higher than the top of the rating, and that scales are okay there. There we go. We've see our rating we've created now through starting at our 500 low level, through this gauging, through the centre of that gauging, centre of those two, through our top gauging, and 2 points we chose here. And so this then covers their highest stage recorded. You can see there's a little bit of a kink here. I may not have got the right coordinate. This is for this 3.3 metre one, and needs to be slightly less. So as before, we can go back in, entry, listed Tideda, fully specified, edit that, and at this 3.3 it seems like it needs to be a bit less, so let's go to say 28 there, save that, and okay, and then let's regraph that, ratings. Okay, you see that bends come out of there, so it looking pretty good now. So again, often you get it wrong the first time. You'll get kinks and bumps in the rating, so you can just go in that way as we did before. Entry, list Tideda, fully specified. You can move this out of the way, hit edit, bring this box down to here, play around with the points you want to edit just to get that line a little bit smoother. And when you're happy, file, save, and okay, right, again, check the rating, it's done. And of course the ultimate check after that is our rating curve, rating quality bed plot. And if we go OK on that, we can see our spread here around this curve is so showing us all fairly good, fairly low values here, but a couple of the lower end here is slightly off, so maybe that bottom end needs a slight tweak to get that, especially this one here at 14, just a little bit more of a tweak over, bring that right. Let's have a look back at the graph. Yes, it's saying this lower end here needs a slight tweak, but okay, something you can work on. But there's how to get an original rating in from scratch, and from then on you can keep building on it. So if you get another rating change through a flood and the gauging start plotting over here, we can use this curve, move it over, edit the pre-existing rating, and so on. Okay, there you have it.